Good morning. I'd like to welcome my listeners and viewers in the United States and all around the world. I am Vince Rocco, and it is Tuesday morning here in New York City, so let's go behind the headlines and get the real story. But first, this is Talking New York Real Estate. Up front today, in the past couple of years, the real estate industry has undergone a profound transformation fueled by technological advancements and innovative marketing strategies. Real estate technology has evolved to provide agents with powerful tools, with agent desktops serving as central command hubs. These desktops integrate artificial intelligence and machine learning algorithms to deliver real-time insights into market trends, client preferences, and property data. Agents leverage these insights to personalize their marketing efforts, utilizing targeted digital campaigns and social media outreach to reach prospective clients. And virtual reality technologies have revolutionized property showcasing, offering immersive virtual tours and bringing listings to life for their clients. In this new and dynamic landscape, real estate professionals are empowered to deliver exceptional service and drive business growth through the strategic use of technology and marketing in 2024. We will discuss, and we will have all that and so much more as Talking New York Real Estate gets underway on this Tuesday morning. And in the news this morning, the House just passed legislation aimed at banning TikTok in the United States, prompting discussions about the potential implications for social media and online content creation that could lead to a nationwide TikTok ban, renewing a massive threat to the company's U.S. operations and subscribers. The move could fast-track a proposal that TikTok has been fighting against for weeks. If the House's gambit succeeds, TikTok could be forced to find a new owner in 1 year or be banned from the U.S. entirely. I will have so much more on that as the story unfolds. Whether you are single or raising a family, you better have a pretty big paycheck if you want to live on Easy Street in New York City. A study released last month from Smart Asset, a consumer-focused financial company, shows that on average, a family of four needs to make at least $318,406 in order to comfortably live in the Big Apple. But single New Yorkers arguably have it worse. In fact, New York City ranked number one for the city with the highest salary needed for a single adult to live comfortably in the U.S. The study shows a single New Yorker without kids needs to make at least $138,570 annually to live comfortably. So what does it mean to live comfortably in New York, you ask? Well, I'll leave that up to you. Real Housewives of New York star Sonia Morgan has opted to auction her stunning Upper East Side townhouse next month, this according to Gimme Shelter. The five-story home at 162 East 63rd Street will be sold online starting May 29th by Concierge Auctions in cooperation with longtime luxury broker Adam Maldwin of the Maldwin Group. The sales opens on May 15th with no minimum. Beginning bids are expected to range between $1.75 to $3.75 million. The home has been on and off the market since 2013 with a first asking price of $9.95 million. The house is 4,500 square feet with 5 bedrooms and 5.5 bathrooms, an 800 square foot basement, and a 575 square foot landscape garden with a fountain and a koi pond. In a statement, Morgan said the auction process aligns with my goals to sell right now in the way I want to. It's now finally the time to take advantage of the moment. And finally, one of the world's most famous parks is about to find itself in a pickle. The good kind, that is. The Big Apple's hotspot for pickleball, City Pickle is teaming up again with Woolman Rink partners to bring the nation's largest growing sport back to Central Park's iconic Woolman Rink, spanning from May 31st to the end of the summer season into the fall. Pickleball will run through 2026, and last year's stint saw an incredible turnout with more than 56,000 participants of all ages and backgrounds flocking to the courts. You know, pickleball, I don't even know what to say about it. With me today are Matthew Leone, Chief Marketing Officer at Brown Harris Stevens, Christopher Reyes, Chief Technology Officer at Brown Harris Stevens, Daniel Blatman, the agency New York City, and Jordan Silver from Brown Harris Stevens.
This beautiful set here at Studio 1873 is brought to you by the Everset. The Everset provides full-service staging and furniture rental solutions in the New York area. For more information, please visit us at staging.theeverset.com or email us at staging@theeverset.com to request a free proposal.
Okay, everybody, we are back, and I want to start with you, Matt, because I read in the one of the news stories at the top of the show about TikTok. Let me ask you your opinion on, the one-year demand for the U.S. to sell TikTok to either an American company or be banned in the United States. I mean, there are so many different sides to the issue, but, we all here are very social media oriented. I, for one, don't necessarily want to see TikTok banned, but what's the opinion on that?
Well, I think it's a political talking point for, this discussion, I think, began in 2020 conveniently around a presidential election, and it's back up in the discussions at 2024. It seems to me the easy, low-hanging fruit to get some, votes. To be honest with you, having some, and this is something that Chris could definitely comment on, if there are government officials that have sensitivities to the data that is being potentially accessed by the parent company, which is in essence the government in China, if there are questions on that, we should look into them. But from just putting on my marketing hat for a second, we in essence met Jordan through TikTok. We saw the content that he was putting out, incredible like place that he could leverage his brand and to rent and even sell homes in. We built an audience of 150,000 plus corporate followers on our account. We've had some videos that have been watched over 3 million times. We had a townhouse that was 13 million that had 3.3 million views that ended up getting 2 interested parties, one of which put a contract and sold the home from the medium. So does the medium work in all instances? Maybe not, but in some it certainly does. It drives audiences. It works for real estate. I would like it to stay, but obviously if there are sensitivities to data, that needs to be addressed.
I mean, listen, I'm a social media person, and I've been on social media probably from day one. As you remember when you used to tell me, you got to be on brand in your social media postings.
How's your MySpace doing?
No, it wasn't MySpace, it was Facebook. But you were so right, okay, because that's where we've evolved, and we're going to talk a lot about that. But Chris, your thoughts on where, this should go? I mean, I get the fact that we're squabbling with the Chinese government. I get the fact that, they want to, lay down the law. And if this is the way you want to, teach China a lesson, I mean, come on, really? Pick something else.
I mean, there's a tremendous amount of danger with the data of users being in the wrong hands. I mean, specifically understanding user behavior and being able to target them with information or misinformation is a very dangerous thing. And that's really, I think, the concern, and it's rightfully so.
There is a lot of concern about it. I get that too. And if the Chinese government is spying on us through TikTok, I mean, I'm not technical, so I really have no clue how that would even work. But I guess if that's happening, then maybe that's something that from a national presence we need to security presence we need to figure out. Okay, but we can figure that out. Okay, and put blocks in place where that doesn't happen. But anyway, we'll talk more about social media as we get more in the conversation. But Daniel, you wanted to say something about it?
Yeah, I would say TikTok's amazing for business for the exact reason that you just said.
Yeah.
And I know people across multiple, I would say, revenue streams that can crush it on TikTok.
Yeah.
But ultimately, I don't think that we're a mature enough society in order to handle TikTok and the way that it is specifically targeted. Even if you look at Steve Jobs famously would limit the amount of iPhone exposure or anything that his kids would have. TikTok knows how to manipulate everything in order to steal everybody's attention, and now our attention is less than a goldfish. So we really need to look at the users of it. Are we a mature enough society in order to handle something like that? And then the marketing that can be done. You have bullying, you have the marketing that is done to it, you have the attention spans. I think you have the overall degradation of society just based off of motivation and whether we can even handle something like that. And even if you think about parents that are watching, let's say, Real Housewives of New York with their 9-year-old daughter, it normalizes that behavior because that's what they now see adults doing. So you're exposing kids or humans to these things that they should never be exposed to at those ages, and they're not mature enough to do it. Plus, they don't even allow TikTok in Asia. So, and they limit the use.
18. You have to be 18.
You have to be
access to
18.
Tencent. Yeah.
Correct. You have to be 18, but they also limit the amount of time that you are allowed to spend on it. Here we have no regulations, no anything. You can sit there and scroll on it for so long, and we just can't handle it.
Well, isn't that the American way? All right, let's stick with TikTok for a minute because, Jordan, I want your opinion as well. You are very big on TikTok. As Matt said before, they found you on, your social media platform. What is your opinion on, the potential banning of TikTok? I mean, quite frankly, you read in the press, people have small to medium to large businesses that they make lots and lots of money from TikTok. From a real estate perspective, I guess, if you're successful, posting on TikTok, it turns into real estate buys and sells maybe also. So what do we do with this?
I think there's definitely two sides to the coin here where it does sound like it's extremely dangerous to our society and something needs to be addressed. It sounds like the type of content that's hitting us is just dividing us even further in a way where it might not be worth it. I make thousands of dollars directly from the creativity program on TikTok, but all of my sales have come from Instagram Reels. So I actually I've had some rentals on TikTok, but all of my sales have come directly from Instagram Reels. So if TikTok were banned, we'd all find a way to pivot. We'd figure out a way to use Instagram Reels, YouTube Shorts. Snapchat Spotlight is a new one that's emerging where you can make money from as a content creator. So there are other avenues, and it does sound like it's a priority.
What was that again? Snapchat what?
Snapchat Spotlight.
Okay.
So it does sound like it's a priority that I do believe the Chinese government should not have access to this type of data and information, and I might be willing to forego whatever success I've had on TikTok. And honestly, Instagram Reels has been more helpful than TikTok has.
I would agree with you on that one.
One thing to add, I think we're talking about two different conversations here. I think one is what social media as a whole does to society, which I think every social medium needs to be addressed in some fashion. The age limits, what misinformation is allowed out there that divides us as a country and even as a world. But then another would be, some foreign entity gaining access to information that is a potential problem. I think it's just as big of a problem. But once that problem is solved, if they do ban TikTok, I think we still as a society have to address the inherent number one problem that we have, which social media has caused, as great as it is the ability to control people's mind through the delivery of misinformation. That is the number one problem. You talk to individuals that ran social mediums years ago that say that it's the problem number one of society, that they won't allow their kids on it. When those people that built these platforms are saying that, that's a little scary.
It's very scary. I'm going to ask a few more questions when we get to the social media piece after, towards the end of the show. But you're right. You're 100% correct. And I think that TikTok might be the scapegoat initially because everybody is focused right now on what social media in general is doing to society. And we'll just leave it at that for the moment. Chris, let me ask you something. So how have advancements in technology transformed the marketing strategies, and we'll get Matt to weigh in on this, used by us, real estate professionals in 2024? I mean, I'm old enough to remember working way back in IBM in the 80s and 90s to where technology really began with smart technology, intelligent technology, to where we are today, which is kind of like no one back then would even imagine where we are today, just with our phones and our iPads and, TikTok and social media. Where are we, and how has technology really transformed our industry?
I mean, the ability to look at data at scale and analyze it has really impacted the way marketing strategies perform. I mean, our position, the way we can segment consumers, the way we can target consumers based on preferences, based on data, their usage of platforms out there is definitely given marketing teams the ability to provide relevant content. I mean, at the end of the day, what we want is engagement, right? On marketing, we want engagement. Engagement rules everything. It rules search engine results. It rules what's displayed in your feeds. the amount of time you interact with particular platforms, and that gives Matt and his team the ability to create that content that works, if that makes sense.
Yeah, Matt, you both run, our technology and marketing groups here at Brown Harris, very large company, one of the top, 2 or 3 in the country. There's an awful lot of pressure on what you guys do to make us as agents more productive in our daily work, right? You have to worry about the marketing. He has to worry about the technology. But what has technology done for marketing in our company or in any company in the real estate side where it's been more beneficial than not? I mean, I feel like sometimes we're on a fast-moving train, and I kind of like that because I kind of grew up with that, never knowing what tomorrow may bring from a technology perspective. But we're on a fast-moving train, and I don't know when and if it's ever going to slow down or stop. So what is it doing for us today, currently?
Well, I think what it's doing is for my team and also for agents, it's making the process more efficient. It's making it smarter. Back years ago, you would have to have a lot of minutia done by your team and even by agents to accomplish a goal.
Yeah.
But now with generative AI and with various technologies that allow you to take the low-hanging fruit of a project and automate it and have the talent within your agent population and your marketing team to do the high-level thinking, it removes some of that. I think that's a big part of it. Another part of it is that home buying, I think, was always an incredibly inefficient process over the years. And I think the industry had a lot
On some level, it still is.
It still is.
Absolutely.
But it's more efficient than it was 10, 15 years ago.
100%.
But it's not necessarily been embraced because I think always, I feel the most transparent, most efficient way to present a home is to have a 3D tour on every single home.
Yes.
Like every single home should, from the comfort of your own home, you should be able to see every single home that's available. Why do we not do that? And the industry has to answer that question. I believe the answer is that agents believe that if they show a little bit less, they might get a buy-side rep. Now, that's not efficient to the process. And I think if everyone agreed to go into that technology with the belief that transparency rules all, then we win. New technologies that are out right now will allow you to not necessarily walk into the room that you believe is the reason why someone won't buy it, but you could still see it from above. Like that to me should be embraced so much more. It's been around 10, 15 years. We still have 3% of homes with 3D tours. That's ridiculous.
I mean, to Matt's point, the efficiencies that are created, I mean, it's outstanding. I mean, not to mention content creation, generative AI, virtual staging, augmented reality, overlays, basically giving the buyers.
I'm going to ask you about augmented reality later, but go ahead.
A better experience, from the comfort of wherever, if they really want to, virtualization.
The comfort of wherever. Daniel, sorry.
As somebody that works with buyers, I'm going to say that virtual staging is one of the most ridiculous things, and it is very challenging because 99% of buyers that walk into a virtually staged home after being their online listing search experts, they walk into a home and they say, "Oh my God, it doesn't look anything like it." Correct. You're like, right. Did you see virtually staged at the bottom?
No.
No.
No one
but
reads.
And also most brokers don't even list that it's virtually staged. So we have to use our Sherlock Holmes skills to figure out, is that couch velvet or is it graphically
Suede.
put in there?
And it's not easy to do.
And it's
No.
good
they
ones.
mess up
The
on the
good
shadowing all the time. But the challenges is people don't understand proportions and they need to physically see it. And unless you decorate the space, people can't even imagine wood cabinets that are brown and what they would look like if you painted them white. And if you put a little small bone of devices, little plaque on the inside of the cabinet, I'll charge you $150,000 on it. Or you look at this kitchen I saw yesterday, you paint it white and you didn't do anything and it looks the exact same and you saved $143,000. So you have to do certain things. Virtually staging will never do it. And the image that you get when you do a 3D tour and there is no consistency in New York City. Outside of New York, it's probably brilliant. It's great. Here, you can't tell the difference between an 8-foot ceiling and a 12-foot wide living room versus a 9-foot ceiling and a 15-foot wide living room, or a 10-foot wide ceiling or 10-foot ceiling and a 16-foot wide living room. There is no standard for between kitchen counters. Is it a 5-foot counter? Is it 7 feet or is it 9 feet? Do you have room to turn? And since every oven has a different width, is it a 4-burner, but is it a 30-inch? Is it a 32? Is it a 36? Is it like, what is the burner width? And because there are no standards with that, you cannot program a human's eye that is not trained to then read a virtual image or a 3D tour, to click on a button to go here, to get a idea of what their lifestyle would be, when even on the photos you move the kitchen table set this way, oh, now I can put bar stools at the kitchen island. Well, normally if you have a table with bar stools, you don't have room to pull out the chairs in either direction when you're physically there, but in a photo it absolutely looks amazing. So when you're dealing with this level of, I'm not going to say manipulation, but this level of things that can be tweaked in photos, and this consumer that thinks that they are brilliant because they've been looking at Street Easy or any company's database, plus they're also looking at photos, or they're shopping at West Elm or whatever. They're looking at these things, so they think that they're experts, or they've been watching Property Brothers and you think you could take a sledgehammer and go through a wall. Then they get there and it's completely different. You need to bring them there. You will lose out on buyers by having a 3D tour because you can't read the proportions. You need to bring them there.
All right, we have to take a break. So
Okay.
we got to take a break. We're running over time. No one's going anywhere. We got a hell of a lot more to say. This is Talking New York Real Estate on the More Network. We'll be right back.
What do you really need to know about buying or selling a home? First, it's serious business. And it's complicated. There's a lot of money on the table, and emotion too. You need an agent who knows the ropes. So, whether you're buying or selling your home, work with professionals who have a mastery of the craft.
Okay, everybody, we are back. So, no, not really. Jordan, you know, your thoughts on all of the digital platforms and technology that we have today. Is it helping us as agents? Is it not? Obviously, we're moving, as I said before the break, on a fast-moving train. I cannot wait always to see what is next, not only in my company, our company, but anywhere in the industry. What's your opinion on the fast-moving digital presence today in real estate? And is it helping?
Yeah, selfishly, it's definitely helped me launch myself, into the sales world. I was working as a rental agent for a few years, and I thought, okay, what can I do that nobody else is doing to get myself to that next level, to the sales world? And I started reaching out to listing agents and asking if I could take videos of their listings, because I had no listings of my own at the time. And I would film and post them online and bring buyers, and those buyers they were real, so they would really transact with me and I would earn their trust. And sometimes it's directly from the video I posted, but many times that's where they reached out, but then I'll bring them somewhere else. So selfishly, it's been extremely helpful as a younger agent in just launching myself into the sales world. So I think TikTok is where I started, and then Instagram Reels. There's a ton of growth on Instagram Reels. YouTube Shorts has now become quite popular, and you can repurpose those same videos for all these platforms.
Yeah, I mean, I say this all the time on this show, and it's true that, moving pictures is what people want to see today, okay? And I always say on the program here that, we as adults are no different than children, right? Children love to see things moving, on the television in front of them. My dog used to love to see things moving as if they were colorful and movable. She loved it, and she stayed put and didn't move. We like the same thing, okay? When you only see still picture, and in the suburbs, that's what I was talking to you before, Daniel, I haven't seen much progression. I don't know why, but I have not seen much progression in digital, in virtual, in any of these things. In some cases, yes, but in a lot of cases, not. So, Matt, let me ask you, how real estate agents are leveraging, the data analytics and AI-driven insights, to tailor our campaigns, whether it's our listings, whether it's working with buyers. How are we using, or how should we effectively use artificial intelligence? First off, right out of the box, it scares the hell out of everybody, okay? I don't know what this means. I don't know if it's good. I don't know if it's safe. I don't know if it's secure. But yet, whenever I've dabbled with it, I've loved it.
I mean, I think it's replacement of like low-hanging fruit. It's jobs that were not incredibly important, and you're getting something out of it that's mildly interesting and intriguing and engaging. You have to use AI to get you to your end goal. You still have to use, the human element of, creativity to really craft it into what you're looking for. Like, I give you an example. So many agents now are using their descriptive, talking points into like a ChatGPT or a generative AI, and spitting out a property description, some of which is probably better than what they could have created. Like, that's a good use of AI. Another is built in our CRM, which Chris and I worked in participation with Close. We have the ability to create newsletters based on.
Tell us what Close is.
Close is a CRM that we, Brown Harris Stevens has partnered with, client relationship management tool, but also it gives you the ability to, it reviews all of your information that you have over your phone correspondence, your email correspondence, your calendar, and it looks and scans it, and then will suggest to you what you should be saying and when you should be saying
it's
it
incredible,
to
actually.
the individuals that are your sphere of influence.
Yeah.
Are you going to then just have that on automation and have that go out to your clients? Absolutely not. What you should be doing is you should be reviewing it, and it should be giving you ideas for you to put the human touch on it. So when I talk about AI, I think it is an incredible, I don't know what it'll be 10 years from now, maybe it's a different story, but right now it is giving you the ideas and the low-hanging fruit, information that you need to build out your real custom message that actually is going to get engaged upon.
Chris, what are some of the pitfalls or some of the risks that we as a company, or any company as a matter of fact, utilizing AR, whether it's in a Close app that we use here at Brown Harris or in any app, what are some of the things that can go wrong if not used properly? And are there security risks that companies the size of ours get concerned about?
I mean, security and privacy are always a risk. I mean, one of the reasons we partnered with Close specifically was their attention to privacy and the willingness to say, okay, what's yours is yours. We're not gonna mine this information. We as a company cannot access user information. And I think that there's a lot of danger with that, because you can then, just speaking from agents, right? Like, all your customer information is lying within a particular system, and then let's just say for whatever reason you move on, right? Now that information is readily available to the brokerage, and if your brokerage wants to market to your clients, they have all this historical information potentially at their fingertips, and I think that hurts you guys in the long run if you decide to move on, right? I'm just as an example. I think that there's a lot of regulations being built, GDPR, California consumer privacy. I mean, there's all of these rules that are in effect about collecting data, retaining data, informing consumers about data, and they're there for good reason, right? And I think that the misuse of that is not good for I know I'm speaking very, very high level. It's not good for the consumer. It's not good for the industry. It's not good for, the visibility of our brands, et cetera, et cetera.
Daniel, talk to us a little bit about, any notable shifts in consumer behavior based on the way we put content out today, based on, our digital use, on AI use, if any. What do you see as any notable differences compared to 3, 4, 5 years ago, which in this business and in technology is a lifetime ago?
Yeah, I mean, Instagram itself is basically a CRM right now. So I can engage with all of my past clients. I have ADD, and I have a lot of past clients. So when you're dealing with the individual real estate agent or somebody with a team, you have, not only do you have Instagram DMs or social media, you have emails, you have text messages, you have other brokers that are reaching out. It's herding cats just trying to get brokers to respond to you for different things or get feedback from listings. So, and I mean, I'm absolutely one of those cats too, so completely a part of it. So I think that it has created a really fun way to be involved in people's lives that 5 years ago, 6 years ago, we would not have had.
No.
So I think that that's amazing. The CRM tools and what you can do with AI as far as getting you 80% there is absolutely amazing. And you can create a lot more content. It's really hard to find a assistant, a marketing person, and we don't have the budgets for it. Despite what people think that real estate agents make, we actually don't make that much to then be able to have a massive staff, because you would need 3 or 4 people on payroll in order to actually do it. So it's really made that so much more efficient and allowed really good agents to accomplish more. The challenges is that on an iPhone, you still have the excuse typos, this was sent on an iPhone. Now you're going to say, excuse typos, this was just generated and sent by AI automatically, so I've got no opinion.
Jordan, based on what Daniel just said, you do utilize Instagram and Instagram Reels often, lots, for your business. What kind of shift in behavior do you see, or have you seen, based on your use of these technologies? I mean, quite frankly, 22 years ago, and if you're in the business long enough, I mean, this was all a pipe dream, for me and for anybody else who was starting in the agent business back then. Social media was not even, didn't exist. I mean, how we did business then, I can't even imagine. I don't even want to go back to that because it's painful to think about that. You come in at a time where all of this around the globe is like, the world, literally, this podcast, it's at anybody's fingertips whenever they want it. How has behavior changed for, from what you see, from your perspective, because of how we do our business today? Do you see any notable differences or changes?
Changes in consumer behavior?
In consumer behavior, yeah. Meaning, do they come to you faster than they might have been in the past, or are you responding to them faster?
It's exposure, yeah. I mean, it's speed and exposure. So it really, what I say is, it's exposure that you literally cannot pay for. So you can reach 8 million people if you make a quality, intriguing video, and people will DM you. And yes, I DM right back and ask, what's the best phone number and email to reach you? And if they don't respond, then I'm not interested. Or if they won't supply their information, so be it. But 80% do. And then you get in touch and you put them in the close and you keep track of them. And yeah, I mean, people will DM you on those videos that they're interested in. I recently did a video with a building developer who restores brownstones. He is living in one in the West Village and restoring one, and he's restoring a brownstone in Fort Greene. And it's a very simple idea, but it's just how much does it cost to buy and restore a brownstone in Brooklyn? And we go through the numbers, and I received 15, 20 people because he's looking for another $500,000 for this project. And majority of comments is, oh, those numbers don't make sense. Oh, this guy's in a pickle. I would never trust him. Or comments about Israel and Palestine. But what is most important are the DMs that you get from people who say, hey, I'm an investor and I'm interested. And you set them up, and then now I'm an invaluable asset to this building developer. And by providing value to him, I know it will come back in karma.
Well, just like our title, we're the broker. We sit in the middle of a transaction, right? And everybody in that transaction kind of reports to us, the attorney, the banker, the client, the seller. We're that in the middle person. Social media, the way you just described it, same thing. You're the conduit to many different avenues when necessary. Matt, you're in the business a long time, as I am. You have seen so many changes. I honestly think sometimes I would not want your job. My head would blow off, things moving so quickly. How do you keep up with it? And what are the biggest challenges in making sure that we, on the broker side, are cool with whatever we have out there by way of tools to use? And how much in advance do you plan on, well, what do these people need now or next?
Well, I mean, I think first, before anything, as a leader of a specific initiative or division or team, you have to surround yourself with great talent. And That's through, networking on LinkedIn, through proper, research when you have a job opening, and you bring in people. Like, we would have never been able to do, the delving into video, audio, podcasting, and episodic series if it wasn't for bringing in talent that could handle this. Bring in people that have experience in audio, experience in content creation, experience in filming, like Ray and Lena and Fabian and Ian and the rest of the team that does that. So it's obviously finding the right talent is one big piece. Another thing is training. I think we partner with Chris, and whatever we put out, we have to have the proper training mechanisms behind it so that we build adoption. There's nothing worse than building out great tech or a great initiative and it just tree falls on the floor, no one around doesn't make a noise. And that's the problem that we face, is that if we don't get adoption, then none of this stuff matters. So getting good training is a good part of it as well. The last piece that I want to bring up is that I think, which is really what agents on this panel and agents outside of this panel talk about all the time, is in today's day, in a market of uncertainty, I think that being a storyteller, being a content creator, telling the truth, being authentic, being just a wealth of knowledge that you just share through this democratized world of social media and such, that's what's so important. Like, getting someone to feel comfortable in front of a camera and talking to a camera, getting them comfortable to share their opinions. Like, that's what our training as marketing professionals is really centered most around, is that you're not a person, you're a brand. And get away from I can't do this. That's just not what my college friends would want me to see and do, or my personal sphere of influence. No, it's your brand. And you got to present yourself as such, and you got to share information. That's the only commodity that we have as real estate professionals. We don't sell widgets. It's the information we provide. You better get that out there to your sphere of influence and beyond, like Jordan does, or you're not going to make it in this industry.
Chris, I know this guy for a long time, very progressive in his thinking, always wanting to get there, being, making things better for us. How often do you tell him no? You can't do that. Because I'm sure there are times
More
that
often
you can't.
than I want to say in the show, to be honest. But we have a good rapport, and I want to go back to it earlier. You don't want to go back 20 years ago. I mean, you can remember putting up a listing in the Village Voice.
Yeah. Yes. Hello. New York Times. Okay. Whatever.
People still have to read.
Yes, people
still have to.
Back
Right,
to your point about consumer behavior, and we made a point earlier about virtual tours, right? Video content. I think every consumer today, I mean, it's not a stretch to say that they're expecting video content. And to bring it back to engagement, and utilizing social media, that type of engagement only helps you, as both know, spread further. The amount of times I view your video, the amount of times I share your video, the amount of times I comment, even, just hovering over it and watching it. All these social media tools are capturing that. I mean, it's like a chef and you're starving and it's trying to feed you everything that you like, and then mix in some other things in there, like trying to feed a child like broccoli. Let me mix the broccoli into mac and cheese and see if that works. And it's constantly doing that, and it's going to give you that whatever it takes to engage you more and more. So video is really, really key.
And I do think digital media marketing it's the innovation of this moment that we need to take advantage of, similar to, I relate it to how Ryan Serhant got his rise on Bravo reality television. During that time, Bravo reality television was the moment. Mm-hmm. Ryan Serhant, he took advantage of that moment, and I think everyone needs to try and be the Ryan Serhant of Bravo reality television on their own channel on social media.
But I agree, and what Matt said before a little while ago about branding, your personal branding, get yourself out there, get your brand out there. We don't sell widgets, okay? We sell us, right? Ryan was at the right place at the right time in the right moment in time to do just that, and he did it expertly. And what you do once you get there is you continue to expand it and continue to do this and take in as much as you can. I mean, he's, out of all of them, he's one of the more brilliant, initiators of the moment, because he's still around and still doing extremely well.
Absolutely. I would say it's not only do you have all of the tools, because he had all of the tools, as do we. We're at a very unique time in history where Like thanks to and I give Street Easy a lot of credit for different reasons, but the Douglas Elliman used to be an agent maker in that they could give you new development, they could really boost you up, and that would elevate your entire profile, and it would expose you to a different people that you would not have been exposed to.
Yeah.
Like I'm from Ohio. I moved to New York with $2,000 to my name. And that was
Typical
it.
New York story.
Like
right?
I got into real estate. I had $2,000. Rent was $800. I had a month to start making money.
And look at you now.
And I know, right? I wear a suit. But when you look at what we have access to, you as a newer agent, you are limited based off of how much knowledge you want to gain. So when you have the exposure to those $5, $10, $20 million clients, you need to know what you're talking about, but you can study. Pro athletes watch tape all week before they get to the game. Real estate agents, we make more money than pro athletes, allegedly. And you can watch tape before, study the history, understand what the trades were, understand how buildings perform. You could do that before you go out on that tour to make it seem like you have that knowledge. That is fake it till you make it. What is really cool about technology is that it has leveled the playing field for these agents that haven't been in business for 20 to 30 years. You can seize that moment by understanding the history of the trades because you have the online resources that you didn't have 20 years ago. Now we also have the marketing engine behind us to expose you, to bring your personality out into the present and let people understand that you do know what you're talking about. The challenge for a newer agent is that you actually do have to know what you're talking about, but there are ways to give yourself shortcuts. So we can all get there. You just have to do it.
All right, we got to take a break. We're going to come back and talk about virtual and augmented reality. This is Talking New York Real Estate on the More Network. Don't go anywhere. Okay, everybody, we are back. So I want to talk about virtual and augmented reality, okay? Augmented reality, I had to look up exactly what it meant because I thought I did know what it was, and I really wasn't sure what it was. Chris, give us a little bit of a minute or two on virtual reality, augmented reality, and how you are finding, as Chief Technology Officer here at Brown Harris, ways to, put that into our everyday agent toolbox. Is it helpful? Is it wanted? Is it needed?
Well, virtual and augmented reality are two fairly, they're all in the same kind of family, but virtual is really immersive, controlled by technology, right? Your experience, your whole experience is created by, a developer, the whole scenario. Augmented, think of augmented reality as an overlay on actual reality. Like I could be sitting here and I could change the color of this table. I could change the decorations in the room. It's really how you want to envision something, or how a developer meaning a programmer wants to envision a particular landscape. I think that augmented reality is going to be rising in terms of how consumers view properties. Back to our point earlier, I think it's going to be able to give them a visualization of the potential of a property, and additionally help developers sell newer properties, new builds, and giving the consumer the look and the feel of not just the particular units within a building, but the landscape around the potential businesses that'll be in the area, et cetera, et cetera. I think it gives them a better look and feel.
It's like the Sears prefab
there you go.
apartments. You walk in, you get to choose this living room set, this living room set. It'll really help out.
Definitely.
Well, are we talking about those things that you put those glasses? It's like, really?
There is.
You want to do that?
You don't want to walk around with a Vision
No.
Pro on your face?
No.
I think you look really good on it.
You think? I don't know about that. I'm like, I got a big head anyway, but it's like, I don't know about that. I get it. I get the point. What your opinion on this is what?
Well, I think when it comes to VR and wearables, I think the problem that you face,
wearables. There you go. Great way to describe it.
the problem that we face right now is latency. The time to reload that content on a Wi-Fi or a 5G is going to make 85% of people nauseous within 5 minutes of use.
Sure.
So if you have it connected to a high-powered machine or a great, incredible connection, then the experience is pretty good. But to be honest with you, I prefer the approach that Chris is talking about. I'm sort of bearish on VR. I'm actually very bullish on AR. I think that what you brought up before about someone arriving to a home and then having to disconnect on virtual staging. AR and the use of virtual staging, and that's where I think it's going to live, is that you will provide the virtually staged photos, and then you will walk into the home, you will open an app, and you will see that furniture inside the home on your phone or tablet. Now again, is that a replacement for traditional staging and properly preparing that home for sale? It is not. But I think it's a little closer to where we were, where you have a photo and then you have disconnect.
What we would have to do to make that work, and we could, I have a lot of ideas on how you could actually make something like that work, but now if we're going to have the augmented reality version, which I think is brilliant, like personally, I would use it all the time just to stage, to decorate, there's stagers, virtual stagers are mostly terrible, but coming up with an augmented reality stager
Correct.
would be really good. But then we also are going to have to partner that with a construction concierge in order to actually give a quote that says, if you would like this, then in this apartment, this is what this would cost, so that people imagine how easy it would be. Because otherwise, everybody just hears, oh, wow, this is going to be like $200,000 worth of work. Like, no. Painting and redoing the floors might cost you, depending on the size, 30 to 50. So it's much more manageable, and it's going to be a month of work versus 6 months. So how do you let people know that they actually do have that as an opportunity to use, and that it is much more approachable, which is where this service would be really beneficial?
Before we get to social media, and Jordan, of course, I want your opinion on this too, but Chris, are there any regulatory considerations that we need to keep in mind related to all of these advancements in technology? I mean, I can just imagine we are so overly regulated in our industry anyway, and then we want to snap on state and local regulations and then federal regulations. Is there anything that kind of gets in your way on a regular basis when it comes to deploying technologies that are good for us as agents in our business?
I mean, as I mentioned earlier, the regulations that are put in place, I mean, we need to be very conscious of GDPR, and all the privacy policies that are out there. Collecting data, again, it's useful on the marketing aspect in terms of targeting, what consumers want to see. But I think that being cognizant of what regulations are today and being able to tell consumers with confidence that, okay, yes, this is the type of data we're collecting, this is what we're going to do with it, and this is how you can get rid of it, you can amend it. I think that helps us navigate this kind of slippery slope right now.
Yeah. Matt, any comments on that for you? I mean, from your perspective, when you're passing things on to us as agents, it's like, you got to go through all kinds of regulations potentially.
Well, I think one thing that we have to look at is as we use AI more, we have to look at who is behind the AI. Like there is someone who developed that AI and is telling you how to think or what to say. I think there just needs to be a review or regulation on that. Is not, I mean, some individuals say that it is an incredibly male-dominated perspective, and 90% of developers are men.
But beyond that, I mean, honestly, the AI bias is a real thing. It is a real thing, but it's not just. Yes, you're right. It's part of it's the developers. Part of it is the data sets.
Yes.
If you
Correct.
took just the data set of just say us sitting in this room and we're all, let's just hypothetically say we're all from New York and we all love the Jets, you're going to all of a sudden the AI model is going to say,
We don't all love the Jets.
Well, we love them, but we love to hate them.
Right.
And we're all men that like blue.
Okay,
There you
I'll
go.
agree.
Clearly, we
We're
don't do
clearly
different
blue
colors.
is the most
But
popular
not all
color.
men love suits.
Yes.
Fair.
Fair.
So it really, the data sets that you collect also influence as much as the developers, if not probably more, of what AI thinks is the correct answer. So.
Do you use AI, Jordan?
I use ChatGPT for the descriptions, the listing descriptions. I think that's incredibly useful. And, I'll write something down on a note. not actually write it down on a note, but on the notes section of my Mac, and then I put it into ChatGPT, and it's incredibly useful. I don't have any other AI applications that I really use, and I think we're pretty early on the VR and the AR situation. We're going to need what the iPhone did in terms of advancing our desire to watch video. I think we're going to need a new piece of technology, because these
I think it's going to happen.
These, glasses or whatever we're wearing, nobody's using them.
These things.
The Oculus,
Yeah.
And I just think that we're going to need a new piece of technology that's going to bring us closer, like eye contacts or, a little earpiece that's going to just be really small, and it's going to be very close to us, I think, and that's what's going to advance the AR VR.
I also see AI a lot and it's hilarious in board packages when you ask your clients to give you reference letters, personal reference letters, business reference letters, and they're also perfectly written, and you think, wow, I don't think my client wrote that, or whatever.
Yeah.
You can sometimes spot the ChatGPT in a lot of these letters. Hey, listen, I think the whole board process, is nonsense anyway. Yeah. But if they buy the letters, they buy the letters. Let's talk about social media. Matt mentioned storytelling. That's one of my favorite expressions. If you aren't a storyteller, if you don't know how to brand yourself, you're not in the right business, okay? Especially as we've progressed from 20 years ago when I started to today, okay? People need to know who you are. People need to know what you're about. When I teach social media in continuing ed, I always start the class, and I'm sorry if I've said this multiple times, but it's a fact. I ask everybody in the class, who are you? Do you know who you are? What is your purpose? Okay, because we're one in 15, 16,000 agents out there. I mean, probably even more. I lost count. 30. There you go. Even worse. Okay.
And how many have done therapy? Because that's more of a therapy question. And that's a whole other...
It's a whole other thing. But really, who are you? And when I look at certain, social media, listings or postings or profiles, I get some people, and some people I'm like, okay, whatever. One off, or, one hit wonder, or not going to last, whatever. You must get scared to death with social media, I'm assuming, because there are no guidelines. There are no, rails. Yes. And people can do whatever they want to do. And I always say, if you're working for a real estate company, you need to stay on brand, even if it's your own posting. We have templates. How hard is it to do, right? But when I see all these agents out there doing, wild and crazy things, I know you get crazy. You must get crazy also. How do you control that? I mean, you really can't.
You really can't. I think education is probably the best way to try and control it. Constant communication, constant educating, constant lessons on keeping on brand is really the key for it. And let's be honest. You're on social media. You can easily get outside of your social norm at like 2 a.m. while you're scrolling, commenting on something. You can easily do that. Let's just say a night out, you're tired, let me just make this comment. It'll be outside.
Oh, no. That's an absolute no. Yeah. Night out making a comment on social media? No.
I mean, that never happens, right?
Never.
But I think education and constant reinforcement is really the guardrails that we can put in place.
Well, how do we do that, Matt?
Well, I mean, I think, like you were saying, I live by the mantra of train and trust. I think that you train them by providing them with a broad stroke of, content strategy and how to engage with each medium. Is that medium right for you? Because your audience profile will define whether or not a certain medium is perfect for you. Do you want to be a little bit more non-business in your content push? Do you want to be more business first? Social media, certain social mediums would match that. So I think that at the end of the day, you should be embracing social media, but in a way that is authentic to you. Don't try to be someone else you're not.
Absolutely.
And to be honest with you, embrace the video content as much as you can, because it's about 8 or 9 times more engaging than any image you're going to put out there. So learn to be good in front of a camera. I think that presentation is so important in real estate. How you show a home when a potential buyer comes in. How's that different from when a camera is rolling and you're pushing out content for your social media or your newsletter or your YouTube channel? I don't think there is one.
Authenticity, transparency, know who you are, present who you are. Don't try and be who you aren't, as you said, because that all comes through. And some people have separate accounts, a business account, a personal account, whatever. I do. And there's no reason why you can't mix and match sometimes. But for the most part, if you want to keep your business focused and keep your brand in place. I mean, I think, and we probably all agree that if you go to somebody's profile, you know what you're expecting to see, right? That's good. When you go to somebody's profile and one day it's this, the next day it's like, ping pong, what kind of branding is that, right? What kind of message is that? It isn't. So I think you guys, when you're out there and you're on social media, we have full-time jobs that keep us busy all day long. Social media, by the way, is also a full-time job, okay? And those who say it isn't, don't do it right. Yep. How do you do it?
I think a lot of it is, instead of thinking about it as creating, it is documenting. Yeah, we are all over the city all day long in different boroughs, and I'll always tell people that if you have not lived in a certain neighborhood within the last year, your opinion is useless. Because our city changes that much.
Yes, it does.
2 new restaurants open up, 1 new coffee shop. It has a different vibe. People are like, wow, this is amazing. But it's that simple.
Yes, it is.
I think one of the bigger challenges is increasing our standards and understanding that we are professionals. So a lot of people get into real estate and they think, oh, I can create my own schedule. I can do this. Like, real estate is one of the hardest professions you can get because it is 100% self-starting. And you are up to everybody else's beck and call. There is no, I create my own schedule. It is your schedule. My schedule is 8 a.m. until midnight. And that's it. Sometimes I'm available before, sometimes I'm available after. But that is my hours.
That's
and you are 100% available. And if you're like, no, I'm not going to be available for this 6-hour window, it's not. That is not the business. But also, if you don't want to do these things, understand what level of business you are. Should you join a team? Does that team do a lot of videos? Because you're not going to. So join a team that does a lot. And then think about, as a real estate agent, where am I going to have opportunity and where am I going to have money? And most of the time for a real estate agent, being an individual is the worst way to actually make money. Joining a team will be much better, and you'll also have the tools at your disposal to create the marketing, to create the video. It helps your clients better. You just need to understand what the realities are and weigh opportunity cost. But more importantly, get into the business knowing that you are going to be a professional, that you are going to show up every day as if you worked at a law firm, accounting firm, or anything else. You're going to show up.
So well said. I agree with everything you just said. And as I always say, one of the reasons I love this business as much as I love it and have stayed with it all these years is because of that. Because every day is different. Every day is completely different. You don't know from one minute to the next, from one borough to the next neighborhood, to the next street, to the next client call, the next email you get. It's all different. And to be able to do it well, you have to be able to be flexible, understand who we're dealing with, get it, because a lot of agents in this town seriously don't get it, and put yourself out there, and that's when you find success. All right, we're going to come back in a few minutes with my closing thoughts for the day. But, guys, thank you so much for being here. Don't go away. We'll be right back. Okay, everybody, we are back with my closing thoughts for this week. They say buying a house is like finding your soulmate. You sift through countless options, swipe left on the ones you just don't find joy in, and hold out for the one in a million match. But let's be real. House hunting can sometimes feel more like a blind date with a fixer-upper. You show up expecting charm and allure, but instead you're greeted by outdated decor, mysterious stains, and a faint odor that's best left uninvestigated. It's like the real estate version of love at first sight meets buyer's remorse. But hey, just like in the world of dating, perseverance pays off, so keep swiping those listings, keep an open mind, and who knows, you might just stumble upon your dream home, complete with all of its quirks and all ready for you to live in happily ever after. And that's our broadcast for today. Thanks to my guests for being here on set with me. You can follow me on Facebook, on Threads, Instagram, LinkedIn, or TikTok. at Vince Rocco, or my website, thinkvince.com. William Faulkner says you cannot swim for new horizons until you have the courage to lose sight of the shore. And from all of us at Talking New York Real Estate on the More Network here in New York, to all of you around the world, thanks for spending a part of your day with us, and I will see you next time. Goodbye, everybody.